It is still hard to believe he's gone. We have new details just in about the crash that killed Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and 7 others.
This month has been rough for the basketball community. We lost a coach, a commissioner, and a superstar. I got something to say about the legacy these 3 men left behind.
There are 2 new possible cases of coronavirus in our area. We're keeping your family safe.
It's starting to feel a little bit more like winter. I'll tell you how low the wind chills will be at the bus stop tomorrow morning.
Live from the nation's capital, this is WUSA 9 News at 11. And first, a story we'll be talking about for a very long time. People all over the world are trying to cope with the deaths of Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna. Honestly, it is still hard to find the words to describe this kind of horrific loss. Good evening, I'm Leslie Foster. The NTSB investigation into that tragic helicopter crash is just getting started. Here's where we stand tonight. Right now, investigators are focusing on the weather. After takeoff, the pilot asked for special permission to fly into fog. He circled for about 12 minutes while he waited for approval. He got the okay to do it. In his final transmission, the pilot said he was climbing to avoid a cloud layer, and that is the last time anyone heard from him. The crash site is about 500 to 600 feet wide. The coroner is still working to remove the remains from the scene.
Question is, was there any chance for survival? That's part of the investigation. I mean, it was a pretty devastating accident scene.
And that was a spokesperson for the NTSB. She also says deputies are guarding the site tonight. The Los Angeles County Sheriff says some people tried to visit the wreckage overnight. They have not arrested anyone yet. A lot of people want to know why the pilot of the helicopter flew into bad weather. Transportation reporter Pete Muntean, who is a pilot and a flight instructor himself, is digging into that question. You can get his expert insight on the WUSA 9 website and our free WUSA 9 app. Tonight, another basketball legend is responding to Kobe's death. LeBron James posted on Instagram. It is so emotional and so raw, and it's long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do want to share part of this with you. LeBron said, and I'm quoting here, "Please give me strength from the heavens above and watch over me. I got us here. There's so much more I want to say, but just can't right now because I can't get through it. Until we meet again, my brother." Kobe Bryant's legacy will live on in the nation's capital. A photo of him is now in the In Memoriam section on the first floor of the National Portrait Gallery. Rick Chapman took this photo in 2007. You can see Kobe's right arm is covered in tattoos, and one of them says Vanessa. That's his wife's name. There is one more thing I want to say about all of this, because 7 other people died in yesterday's crash, and tonight we are honoring them too. They were husbands and wives and parents and daughters and dreamers and teammates, an assistant coach and a pilot. This has been really a devastating month in the basketball community. 3 men who helped shape the sport have died. Sports director Darren Hayes has something to say about the legacies they leave behind.
Here's what's on my mind tonight. We lost a lot this month. A commissioner, a coach, and a superstar. They say people die in threes. Well, David Stern, Morgan Wooten, and Kobe Bryant are your 3. David Stern reshaped the NBA. He's a huge reason why the game is so exciting right now. He also helped create the WNBA, which our Washington Mystics won the most recent championship. And speaking of championship, Morgan Wooten, he won a bunch of those at the Mather. 5 national titles, 22 DC titles, and 33 conference championships. But his funeral was more about the lives he touched. God, family, school, and basketball were his principles, and prioritized in that order. Morgan Wooten was a mentor and, to some, a father figure. Coach Wooten turned boys into men with the most powerful 4-letter word, love. And the NBA actually scratched that. The world loved Kobe Bryant. He was an example of what happens when you mix talent, hard work, and desire to win together. Kobe was a generational icon. 5 NBA titles, 18 All-Star appearances, 2 Olympic gold medals. The list goes on. Before LeBron James, the best to ever play the game debate was between Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Unfortunately, we only got a glimpse of the other Kobe Bryant, the one who won an Oscar, the one who was a mentor and a father that enjoyed spending quality time with his 4 little girls. Yeah, we won't get to see that part. Kobe, Morgan Wooten, and David Stern all have amazing legacies, and it's a reason why they're all Hall of Famers. And yes, best believe, Kobe will join them this year. I can only imagine the basketball conversation they're having right now upstairs. I'm Darren Haynes, WUSA 9 Sports.
There is some breaking news to tell you about in Prince George's County. A police officer there shot and killed a suspect who was handcuffed and placed in the front seat of a police cruiser in Temple Hills. So here's what we know. The suspect was on the passenger side. The officer is in the driver's seat. Two witnesses told officers they saw or heard some kind of struggle and then several loud bangs. The suspect had several gunshots from the officer's duty weapon. The officer was not wearing a body camera at the time, and investigators are still working to piece together what happened before that officer fired his weapon. All right, now an update to a story you first saw on our WUSA 9 app. And here's what's new. There is now a possible case of coronavirus in Maryland. The health department is waiting on some test results from one patient there. A student at George Mason University is waiting for some test results too. So what are universities doing to keep students safe? Lorenzo Hall picks up our reporting.
With this new strain of coronavirus spreading beyond the center of the outbreak in Wuhan, China, many universities in our area are closely watching both their students studying abroad and those on campus. George Mason University confirmed late Monday one of its students is being monitored for possibly contracting coronavirus. That student, according to the university, does not live on campus and is, quote, self-isolating while waiting for test results from the CDC. The university says the risk of other students getting the virus is low. But still, students on campus began taking precautions after a social media post began circulating from an anonymous poster over the weekend, stating a student from Wuhan at GMU is not feeling well and has quarantined him or herself.
I'm just doing this just to avoid being sick.
At the University of Maryland, they're cleaning campus buildings, shuttle buses, and residence halls more frequently, according to a campus advisory. Overseas, American University has 8 students in Beijing. A university spokesperson says there are no plans to bring them back, but they are monitoring the situation carefully. 3 Georgetown undergrads are also in Beijing. The school rep says they're in constant contact with the students, and International SOS is available, a company that provides emergency medical, travel, and evacuation services if needed. And at George Washington University, a spokesperson tells us they've been in constant contact with all of their students abroad and are simply urging them to be aware of the changing conditions. I'm Lorenzo Hall, WUSA 9. Les?
All right, Zoe, let's talk about something else all parents use. Baby wipes. Apparently, they caused a big problem for some of our neighbors living in Southeast. Delia Gonsalves has that story.
The cell phone video and pictures tell the first part of this story. 4 inches of raw sewage, feces floating on the floor of these basement units inside Penn Circle condos in Southeast.
Help these families.
Paul Gallagher.
It's still a stench.
Rashima Bronner.
It was a hot mess.
And Handi Wakatama pick up the second part.
I woke up to the sound of my toilet. It sounded like water was coming out, like gushing out.
It was December 23rd. 9-month-old Philip Jr. was home when raw sewage rose from toilets, tubs, and drains. A few doors down,
Christmas gifts got ruined.
Rashima Bronner came home to the mess. Thankfully, her daughter, who just turned 1, is no longer crawling.
The floors are damaged, and they haven't been pulled up yet, so we don't know what's under them. But needless to say, if it was sewage floating on top, of course there's bacteria and disgust underneath of them.
We had a plumber here. We snaked the main drain, and we snaked a toilet with 100 feet of line, and we hit nothing.
So here's the third part of this story. According to this letter from DC Water, about 7,000 gallons of raw sewage spilled into these homes because of a grease clog in the city's line. I contacted DC Water, and they say a second check turned up wipes that they say are clogging the system and could have led to the flooding disaster. In fact, wipes that don't break down when flushed down the toilet have led to clogs all around the country. The residents have now filed a claim with DC Water's insurance to be made whole again. And for these moms, that can't happen soon enough.
We came back because they said they did some type of bacterial cleansing, or it was safe for him to come back, but I still honestly do not feel safe.
In Southeast, Delia Gonsalves, WUSA 9.
Give me the next 45 seconds and I'll give you two top stories across our DMV. First up, Jack is back. Just days ago, Jack Evans was forced to resign from his D.C. council seat over ethics violations. But now he's filed to run for, that same seat twice in the June primary for a full new term and a June special election to serve what's left of the current term he just gave up. And how about this? Virginia lawmakers say yes to the Equal Rights Amendment, with women presiding over both the Senate and the House of Delegates. Virginia becomes the 38th state to ratify the ERA. That's the number needed to anchor it to the Constitution. But we could see a court battle over whether the deadline for ratification had already expired. Remember this video? A D.C. social worker trying to convince a homeless man to drop his knife as an officer draws his weapon. This was taken back in November of 2018. Well, that social worker says the man she was trying to help is the same man stabbed to death at Union Station yesterday. She talked with our Mike Valerio.
This is real. This is real. This is the same person that I helped from getting shot by the police, and now he's dead.
On the ground. You saw me sleeping, right? I had a knife in my possession, Ms. Lady.
He had a knife and wouldn't give it up. But this is the moment Grace McKinnon saved a life. It was outside Union Station, November 7th, 2018.
You're so close to both of them.
I was so close, literally probably the same distance I am to you and him. So he gets on the ground, and at that point he's like crying. You just see the despair in his eyes. And I was just like, it's not worth dying for.
On the ground.
Don't die, it's not worth dying for, just get on the ground.
Get on the ground.
As she records the video, Grace diffused the moment. No one hurt. She told us she ended up befriending the homeless man, Anthony Williams, and she hoped to turn his life around. But yesterday, it was cut short. Anthony's family told her he was fatally stabbed in the Union Station Metro. After so much hope of a life saved and a second chance, Anthony Williams, now dead at 20.
So young. He still had his whole life ahead of him. And for it to end like this, it's like, I don't know if there's meaning in that. I don't know if there's meaning in that.
In Northeast, Mike Valerio, WUSA 9.
Is the Passport Services Office really sending out letters and calling homes? One of you asked. The Verified team has the answer. Need a little motivation on this Monday? Meet the actor inspiring kids at the Metropolitan School of the Arts.
This week stays dry. That changes this weekend at 11:18. I'll let you know if rain or snow headed our way.
We're so glad you chose WUSA 9 News at 11 on this Monday night. I'll meet you back here in 90 seconds. A Virginia mom opens up about a horrific reality. Her daughter died just days after getting the flu. Now she's in mourning and on a mission. And the Verify team's going to help, separating fact from fiction about the virus.
Rain is the story this week. I posted a yellow weather alert for tomorrow. I'll time it out and help you plan your commutes.
You'd never know by looking at it, but spies at this spot in Virginia changed the course of World War II.
The Redskins made history today. They brought in this incredible and powerful woman. I will introduce you to the newest member of the team.
Live from the nation's capital, this is WUSA 9 News at 11. We're starting with a story that is difficult and important. A Loudoun County mom says her daughter died just days after getting the flu. Good evening, I'm Leslie Foster, and I have to be honest with you, this story is really hard to share. Katie's mom is still learning to cope with her new reality, and part of that is this mission to educate others about the flu. She shared her story with Delia Gonsalves.